The Detroit Pistons just did the unthinkable, snapping the longest playoff losing streak in NBA history, and they did it in a game that felt more like a cinematic battle than just another playoff matchup. Cade Cunningham lit up Madison Square Garden with a performance worthy of legend. The Knicks fought with everything they had, led by Jalen Brunson's relentless shot-making and OG Anunoby's defensive intensity. But Detroit never blinked. If you thought Game 1 was fierce, Game 2 was a war. Subscribe to Basketball Insider USA, your support keeps this channel alive and thriving. The energy in Madison Square Garden was electric, with the Knicks faithful roaring from the jump, but it was Detroit who silenced the crowd first. Jalen Duren, the Pistons' young and explosive center, soared above everyone to grab a miss and threw down a thunderous putback dunk with two hands that rattled the backboard and sent a message: Detroit came to fight. New York tried to respond quickly. OG Anunoby, always moving without the ball, slipped behind the defense and finished a high-speed transition play off a no-look pass from Jalen Brunson, laying it in with finesse off the glass. The Knicks had a short-lived surge, capped by a fluid fast break where Mikal Bridges knifed through traffic and delivered the rock to Og for an easy layup. But right when New York seemed to be finding rhythm, the Pistons struck back. Karl-Anthony Towns muscled his way into the post, spun baseline, and used his length to glide a finger roll over Duren. On the next play, Towns found himself open again, this time dropping in a soft floater in traffic, controlled, calm, and precise. Josh Hart tried to counter with a drive, but Duren met him at the summit and rejected the shot with a violent swat, energizing the Pistons bench. And then it was Cade time. Cunningham began dissecting the Knicks' defense with surgical precision. On one play, he used a high screen to force a switch, isolated on OG Anunoby, and rose up to bury a mid-range jumper right in OG's face. No hesitation, pure confidence. He then slashed into the lane, absorbed contact, and still floated the ball in with soft touch, drawing ooze from the stunned New York crowd. Not done yet, Cade danced at the top of the arc, hit Tobias Harris for a rhythm three on the wing, money, and then got it back on the break, finishing a 2-on-1 by weaving through defenders for a high-arcing layup. It was a statement. Cade Cunningham was locked in. The second quarter opened with Detroit in full control. Malik Beasley came in firing, curling off a pin down and knocking down a smooth pull-up jumper from the elbow. Then it was Tobias Harris, who bullied his way into the paint, turned over his left shoulder, and drilled a fading jumper over Josh Hart. Harris was methodical, using veteran footwork to create space even in tight windows. But New York wasn't about to roll over. Jalen Brunson, sensing the game slipping, took command. He rejected a screen, went downhill with that signature shoulder dip, and floated in a high-arching shot over Duren's outstretched arms. The next time down, he drew a double team and kicked it to Mikal Bridges, who buried a corner three, igniting the Garden once again. Still, the Pistons had answers, and those answers were all Cade Cunningham. Cade came off a double screen, stopped on a dime at the free throw line, and hit a high-release jumper that touched nothing but net. On the next possession, he faked the drive, spun back, and faded away from the right elbow, cold-blooded. Every move was calculated, every bucket was a dagger. He had 20 points in the first half alone. The Knicks tried to rally. OG Anunoby found success attacking the lane, finishing with a slick Euro step around Paul Reed. Josh Hart, after missing a couple earlier looks, nailed a huge three from the left corner after a kickout from Brunson. It kept the Knicks within striking distance. But the Pistons, again, kept control. With under 20 seconds left in the half, Dennis Schroeder grabbed a rebound, flew up the court, and dished it to Cade. With the clock winding down, Cade stared down Og, jabbed twice, and drilled a pull-up jumper over him as the buzzer sounded. The Knicks came out swinging after halftime, clearly inspired by head coach Tom Thibodeau's fiery locker room talk. Jalen Brunson turned up the heat, carving up Detroit's defense with relentless drives. He hit a step-back three over Cade, then next time down, used a hesitation move to blow by Schroeder and finish with a hanging reverse layup. The Garden erupted, but Detroit didn't panic. Karl-Anthony Towns knocked down a straightaway three, silencing the crowd again. Then Tobias Harris bullied his way inside and finished a tough left-handed layup through traffic. Cade, now facing doubles, still found ways to contribute, hitting cutters, orchestrating perfectly timed passes, and directing the offense like a veteran floor general. Josh Hart responded with a massive hustle play, diving on the floor for a loose ball, popping it out to Bridges, who hit another huge three. Then Hart got a steal, fed it ahead to Og, and Anunoby flushed it with both hands on the fast break. It looked like the Knicks were making their move. But again, it was Cade Cunningham who slammed the door shut. He sized up the defense, dribbled between his legs into a behind-the-back crossover, then rose from mid-range with Anunoby on his hip, drain it. Crowd stunned, he followed it up with a driving-in-one finish, flexing as he hit the deck. This was a Cade Cunningham takeover in real time. By the end of the third quarter, Cade was up to 30 points, and Detroit still held a 7-point cushion. Everything was on the line, and the Knicks threw everything they had at Detroit. Brunson continued to go to war, finishing acrobatic layups in the paint, drawing contact, and screaming toward the crowd to keep the energy alive. Og hit a tough contested corner three. Paul Reed came alive for Detroit on defense, blocking shots and protecting the paint. With 5 minutes left, the Knicks trimmed the lead to just 3. Tobias Harris, the calm veteran, came through big time. First, he isolated on Josh Hart and hit a spinning fadeaway in the mid-post. Then he drilled a catch-and-shoot three from the top of the key off a Cunningham assist. That pushed the Pistons back up by 8. Still, the Knicks wouldn't quit. Brunson hit another deep three. Bridges forced a turnover and fed it ahead to Og for a layup. With just over a minute left, it was a 2-point game. Cade brought the ball up, the clock ticking. He dribbled left, pulled up over a hard contest from Anunoby, and buried it. Cold, ruthless, the ultimate dagger. New York got one last look, but OG's corner three missed off the back iron, and the Pistons secured the board. The streak is over. The Detroit Pistons have won their first playoff game since 2008, and it came behind Cade Cunningham's 36-point masterpiece. Cade Cunningham just reminded the world who he is. Detroit is no longer a playoff pushover, they're coming for respect. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and support Basketball Insider USA, your home for the most detailed, passionate, and hype NBA content. Your support keeps this channel alive. We'll be breaking down every minute of this epic series.